you may not know it, but there's no Saudi soldiers in Yemen. They're all conscripts from somewhere else. They're all, them big old fat Saudis, they ain't gonna let them fight nobody. Remember when Saddam Hussein came into Saudi Arabia and Kuwait? The Saudi packed up and run away. Hey, they ain't even thinking about fighting. So those are conscripts from somewhere else. Okay. So what are the parallels between Iran and the As-Sabiqun movement? We just talked a little bit about Iran. And in recent years, Iran has become a model of their economic resistance. The things that they do to other countries, people in other countries say to Iran, if they did one of the things, if they did 100 things to you, if they did one of those things to us, we would collapse. This is for the last 20 years they've been saying that. So Iran has become a global model of resistance, a resistance economy, resistance production. They tried to make it look like the Iranian economy is falling apart, like it's corruption everywhere. Of course there's some corruption. If you're going to have politicians, you're going to have corruption. Of course there's some mismanagement. But they don't mention that Iran has survived with the global West organized to bring it down. And they haven't did it. And when they talk about democracy, from their discussion of democracy, Iran has more democracy than they do. In fact, there was talk last year about when Rouhani got elected for the second time, they said the Americans are jealous because Iranians have more democracy than they do. They said some of the politicians are corrupt. Look at American politicians, what they do to the American people. The politicians in Iran don't do that, nothing. If there's 80% corruption here and in African countries, we say it's 15 or 20% corruption in Iran. Yeah, I understand. But look at the balance. So now, what does that have to do with you and I right here in D.C. and in Oakland? Just like Iran has become a model of endurance and stickability and tenacity, and shown the world that you can be independent whether they like it or not. Okay, that's on the external global level. Iran has proved that. It's not a theory anymore. See, we have almost 40 years of proof that you can do it. Okay, what about us here in America? All of our American groups have been corralled and quieted, and you can't find no spokesman for liberty or truth and justice in the United States. None of our people. The national Negro only wants to live on his farm and talk a few little black phrases every now and then. Somebody in Iran was telling me last month, no, our friend believes that he has 17 million followers. I said, so I wrote 17 million and I wrote 17,000, which they don't have no 17,000 either. I said, look, I'm in D.C. and the guys are struggling to pay for their building and they split, you know. I said, in Oakland, it's the same thing. I say all they do is try to jump on a bandwagon, Ferguson or something, and try to pretend like they are. I said, all Negroes know a liar when I say a guy had a chance with 2 million people coming to D.C. in a 2 million man march, right? With all movies and TVs and everything made about it, right? They had a big opportunity as any Negroes in history had. Even more than the civil rights. They had movies, get on the bus, right? They had all of that stuff. And God knows how much money they collected down there. Because they sent them big 55-gallon money bags around. If anybody remember, they were full. Nobody knows how much money they got. But one thing people know, there was no follow-up. They got the money and ran. Okay, so all the Negroes know that if you do something with certain Negro groups, if there's any money involved, they keeping the money. If they tell you we're gonna share, you find me a Negro group that they got a little share. So everybody participated. Find me somebody. I've been looking for them from day one. I haven't found nobody that got a share out of that. They got that. So, whether it's the old Negro with the frizzly hair and always wearing a scarf around his neck, whatever his name is. Even a great program like Africa and Slavery, they had that Negro so-and-so, what's his name, that make these new African programs on TV.
Oh, Tariq Nasheed on TV? Oh, you talking about Gates?
Gates, yeah. Now Tariq them and the guys that made 500, all that. Right. Why don't they give them the money to make that? They give that Negro Gates. He don't have nothing to do with nobody, and he's always interviewing on slavery and that man is so distant from our people. They could have got Brother Ooga Booga them and just been doing this. They exaggerate a little bit, you know. But I mean, they look who's spokesman for us. And the Muslims. They got Mellow Yellow them. They got the Brooklyn Imam. They got the New York Sausage Mouth Imam. And, you know, one of the Imam, he built like, we was overseas together, you know, and sometimes you take your tops off, and it's built like a Coke bottle, you know what I mean? Little bitty old arms, you know what I mean? And then a big belly. Just, you know, they ain't even thinking about training. Physical training has a lot to do with how you think, you know what I mean? You notice when you're in good shape, how good you feel, you're ready to tackle something. But if you're all out of shape and crippled, you'd be wanting to challenge things, but you just, you know, you're just out of shape, and when you're physically out of shape, you're half the time mentally out of shape. And I look at all the brothers when we go somewhere, don't nobody be working out but me. Like right now, we just went to California. That was just a few weeks ago. And you know, in the big hotels, the gym opened up at about 6 o'clock. So I'm there at 6:30. I don't see nobody. One guy, he was watching me, that was his job. And he's sitting on the bicycle, I remember from 35 years ago. But his belly was like this. So he doesn't do physical fitness, or he wouldn't look like that. Then the next day they had an Iranian girl. She was built like a healthy Negro lady. Now she was in shape. She was on the little machine, running and slow it down and run again. You know what I mean? But I ain't saw none of the brothers. I ain't saw nobody in the whole thing. They'd got 2 Iranians. The one that probably hadn't worked out in 50 years since we was running around the street. And the girl probably was in a college You know, you can tell they get their college training on the running on the machine. You know, they have a little college course, physical fitness. And the other programs I go to, I don't see nobody working out. And everybody asks me, you still do that, Imam Musa? You used to run and do. I said, well, I get around pretty good, but I don't work out every day. I go down there and got the machines, little iron, and I say it's not my regular workout, but I'm gonna work out every day. The point is this: what is the difference, or what are the parallels between the Islamic Republic of Iran and As-Sabiqun movement? We talked about the brief history of the Islamic Republic of Iran, how it challenged the whole world and it survived, and it has became, today, it's an example of survival. And when you watch the world news and when you watch the latest stuff in the UN, it's clear that Iran is on the ascendancy on all levels, and America is in a decline on all levels with everybody. We continue to say that it's unbelievable how Donald Trump can say the exact wrong thing and do the exact wrong thing every time, all the time. I mean, George was bad, George Bush was bad, and we thought that there's nobody could. What's the chance of a president or a leader saying the wrong thing at the wrong time, every time, all the time, on any subject? I ain't never seen it, and I heard nobody mention it. No, I haven't run across that before. And everybody knows that the U.S. is in a decline except the people doing the talking. It's as though they don't do any risk evaluation, accountability surveys on their behavior. You know, well, how did I perform? If you get up and sing, if you get up and you play another team, right? You evaluate, how did we do? After everybody got arrested, 2 days later or so, we're going to examine. Hey, man, how did we do? We won that, but how did we do? We may face these guys in the Super Bowl. How did we do? And they're going to examine, well, I made 2 fumbles, we made this, that, and that. So-and-so made up for the fumbles. Right? Boy, they had a good defense. If they did defense, would have held a little bit longer, we would have been finished. We just had a little extra on the offense that brought us, it's normal. Does it look like the State Department and the presidency analyzes what it has said and what it plans to say? It's unbelievable. So I've come to a conclusion, I don't know whether it's true or not, that somebody hired Donald Trump to mess up America. It seems like he's being paid by somebody, because the possibility of saying the wrong thing the wrong way, in the wrong place, to the wrong people, all the time, is rare. I have never seen it. I didn't even think it was possible for anyone to do the wrong thing all the time. So, now, Iran has survived. What about us? We have a similar history. If we go back to 1980 when we opened up, we were under the gun of Saudi Arabian agents since they tried to befriend us in 1980 and 81, but by 82 they scratched our name off and they were against us. We don't get into, just think about it. Our analysis of things happening in the world. If you could have to say we're over way in the high 90s on, forecasting ability. I think it's more than the high 90s. I think it's humanly excellent, right? Okay. If we have simple solutions, like when we went to Baltimore, the ayats that we're using are perfect ayats for our situation. But how is it that we don't get any invitations from anybody in America for no reason to talk about nothing? And we're right all the time, and they're wrong all the time. Then Negroes are always wrong. They're always wrong. They misanalyze, maybe on purpose, I don't know, all the time. And we stand there and try to explain to them over and over again. And when we was down to the Palestinian demonstration, some of the Arab guys was coming by. I don't know if you was listening to that part. Why don't you come out to the so-and-so anymore? I said, well, I didn't feel welcome. Well, we're going to make sure you feel welcome now. You can come on. I said, well, I came when I was invited. But, I was telling one of the brothers, I say, even a dog knows when you don't like him. You know what I mean? They got enough sense to know, boss man don't like me. You know what I mean? He don't do nothing that, that might be helpful for the poor canine. So, it's very strange that someone whose analysis is way up in the high 90s on forecasting. Now, one way you can prove that you know your enemy is when you can forecast his behavior, and your forecast comes out accurate every time. And the result of that behavior, you forecast that, and long range and short range over and over again. Eventually, people should, if they want their people to be informed and function properly in this environment, they should seem to want to get advice from people who have survived and thrived. The other thing is the Iranians face challenges, but they're outside of the country and they have many of their own assets. What about us inside of America? We're inside of America. And America has 100% access to us. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. For the last almost 40 years. So they have unlimited ability, unlimited supervision, and they're able to infiltrate and sabotage, which they do. I won't get into all of it, but the stealing of monies over and over again, till there's so many times that, and so many diversions and snatching of money and resources. But we was able to build here in D.C., even with the people that were with us working for the system. We still have property all over this area. Allah will allow us to use it properly, but we can't stop if we acquire all the property and we got a house full of people. We can't stop them from picking up and leaving. Maybe we don't do nothing to them. Nobody has any reason why well, it was a dictatorship, they stole our money, they stole our girlfriends, or just nothing. Just pack up and leave. You can't stop them. But what that means is that that's an asset because the people are watching. And they see over and over again, every time they get to a certain level, then the system pulls its people back, and it seems as though we're left holding the bag, but that shows that no matter what they do, we're going to keep moving toward certain goals. That means that right here in D.C., we have, I don't know, more than everybody else, with the whole system working against us. That's not bad. They don't have anybody working against them. I never heard of anybody. Around the corner, or over in the Northwest. In fact, all of them seem to be getting salaries for being against us. I've never heard of any masjid that if you take your shahada there, somebody will follow you around eventually and ask you, where do you go? The minute you say Masjid al-Islam, they got a whole list of grievances. They've never been here, but they don't have this, and they don't have that, and they this, or they're Shias, or they're weak Islam, and they're political, political.
Militant.
How you going? If the white folks, every time you raise a box of money, if you set it down for 30 seconds and turn your head, somebody snatched the box. Or if you they've written, those garbage cans out there? They've written hundreds of dollars in fines there's an empty space, a ditch right next to the house down here. We used to put the garbage cans over there. That's still our property, though. Half of the ditch is ours. That drainage ditch. They never paid us no rent for that ditch. We've been at that boy for 20 years. We can't build on it. We went down there when it was on 8th Street or something. We want to build on that. You can't build on it. It's a drainage ditch. Well, if it's a drainage ditch, it's your drainage, not our drainage.